So, a lot happened here, right? Shiro got a reboot, and with it, everyone got redesigned and they look way better now. Okay, end of the video. Thanks for showing up. I'm just kidding, but honestly, this is an interesting topic when it comes to discussing character design. I've seen people claiming that the original designs are better, and just like all character designs, it's entirely based on opinion. And I'm willing to bet a lot of people like these original looks because they're nostalgic for them. I mean, when I think of Ash from Pokemon, I think of this kid, not this goofy looking dude. And Ash's artistic style updates are pretty minor in the long run. These Shiro redesigns are a lot more drastic in their changes, so I can understand why the old school Shiro fans might not be thrilled with these redesigns, but I sure am. I don't know, personally I just vastly prefer a cast of characters who actually have diverse skin tones and body shapes. Old school Shiro had very cut and paste body types in order to mass produce toys. If you can use the same mold process to create a bunch of characters as toys, then you can save some money. It was the same with He-Man, Barbies. For a long time, shows with dolls would have characters with nearly identical body shapes to make the toy-making process more profitable. However, things have changed since the 80s, and Netflix doesn't need to rely on toy sales to keep Shiro afloat. So, I really wanted to take a closer look at the different characters and their different redesigns to go into a little more specific details about the design process for each character, rather than giving generalizations about the cast as a whole. I'm not going to be going over like every single character here though, but if you like this video and you want to see more, let me know and I can do a part 2 or something. So let's look at Shiro designs. Let's start with Shiro herself. Obviously, out of all of the designs, hers was going to be changed the least. After all, this look is pretty iconic. For the most part, it looks like her biggest changes were just some quality of life stuff, like adding shorts instead of keeping the dress. Shiro's shorts allows her to be much more acrobatic and creative during combat scenes. Can't have an accidental panty shot, this show is for kids after all. One big argument I've seen for all these designs in general is this idea that Shiro is too flat-chested? You remember what I just said, right? This is for kids. This concept literally never crossed my mind when I was watching the show, but looking at our cast as a whole, it actually looks like no one has large boobs. At all. I don't know, I never really thought about it. It doesn't bother me. It might just be to help the target audience better identify with our characters better. Anyways, the other biggest change to Shiro's look is just the addition of more armored shoulders and a streamlined headpiece. By all means, she looks like she's just actually much more ready for combat. Personally, I think this is a near perfect design. There's just enough changes to help out with the animation and make the character feel like a better fit for her surroundings, but overall it's still incredibly iconic and doesn't lose the important elements of the original design. But Adora, you know, Shiro when she's not Shira-ing. That's a whole lot of can of worms right there. This mostly just feels like a sign of the times. Why can I see your entire thigh? Could you tell the show was made by men? Now she looks like a real soldier, because she looks like she actually remembered to wear pants today. Small thing, I like how Adora's hair is very different from Shiro's hair. It really helps sell the idea that she's going through a transformation sequence. This redesign is a good example on how to make something similar to its original concept, but still changing every article of clothing. Using the same colors and almost the same spots and patterns is a great way to do that. Next is Glimmer, and she really goes through a bit of a transformation. First of all, short hair? Yes. Glimmer's original hair is fine, but it does add to this idea that all the girls look the same, all with the same long, straight hair. Personally, I think new Glimmer's hair is much more recognizable. Also, little thing, it's a lot easier to animate short hair compared to long, flowing hair. The animation process is an element people don't always take into consideration when looking at character design. If something's gonna be a hassle to animate over and over and over again, then you might want to go back and change your character. Similarly, having Glimmer be shorter, curvier, and tanner just helps to better diversify the characters. Quick note, all of the princesses of power have different heights, hair color, skin shade, hair shape, hair length, body size, and curves. If you're afraid your characters are starting to look too similar to each other, especially if you have a large ensemble, then just start going ham with making everything different. I promise you, no one will be upset that you have unique looking characters, but people will raise eyebrows if everyone looks like copy and paste versions of each other. Glimmer's original design is pretty distinct, but to be fair, she later gets a new look that is nearly exactly the same as her original outfit. There's just some little design changes, like the moons on her boots and the softer color palette to match the slightly less saturated world. This is actually a really cute way of having the characters essentially grow into their designs. Because when you see the original Glimmer, then see new Glimmer reaching this point, it really hammers home the fact that Netflix's Shiro is a coming-of-age story. She couldn't look like this to begin with because she had to learn to get there. But that early look she had is very drastically different from her original look from the 80s. If Shiro is a good example on how to keep every design essentially the same, then Glimmer is a good example that you don't always have to do that if you don't want to. Glimmer's main color being purple is the only returning element from her old look, and that's fine. These are both fine, and I appreciate the fact that Netflix's designers weren't afraid to go crazy and do something totally unique. Because that's a whole thing people will say. Why did they have to change this character I like? Well, they didn't change her, they've made a new version of Glimmer. This is Glimmer, and this is Glimmer. Just because both exist, that doesn't mean the other version is no longer valid. Both can be good in their own right. And you have to understand that it's literally been 3 decades between these shows. The world is a little different now, especially when it comes to children's media and characters' design in general. Moving on, let's look at Bo. I'm impressed they could make the heart on his chest still work in the new version, because that's the part that looks the most goofy in the original design. Also, this just might be a generational thing, but I think capes look dumb. They add nothing to a design half the time, and I think nixing the cape in general would just be a smart idea. Capes tend to obscure a character a lot. Here's a fun thing. They've given Bo's original armor design and cape and stuff to his dad. That's a cute way to reference the original design without having it actually be worn by your character themselves. They also reference the original outfits a couple of times throughout the show, and that's really sweet and a nice touch. So I guess I'll tackle the elephant in the room. Bo is now a completely different skin tone. Personally, I have absolutely nothing wrong with this. I'm never gonna be upset that there's diversity in a show. Oh no, the characters aren't all white anymore? What a shame. We'll never find another cartoon with predominantly white cast. I don't even think this will be a problem for something I'm like really nostalgic for. Scooby-Doo. I watched it all the time growing up. All the movies, I love it. It's gone through a bunch of different versions and remakes at this point. If they made like, I don't know, Daphne, a black woman, that would be cool. I could see it. I'm down for it. Adding racial diversity to a show is never a bad thing. And if there is someone who does get upset that there's more minorities being represented in cartoons nowadays, then that person is probably more than a little eyebrow raising to begin with. There's plenty of characters that got redesigns that changed, but nothing too drastic, just like a change in the general style of clothes they're wearing or modernizing some of their accessories, on top of changing their hair length, skin tone, and face shape. Like Perfuma, Frosta, Marmista, Natasa, Spinnerella. Specifically, I like how the different clothes give off the impression that they all do come from different kingdoms with different cultures. 80s She-Ra's designs all felt like they got their armor from the same store. But the best part is that it also gives us insight into their different characters. A great design will give you an idea on what a character's personality is like. 80s She-Ra didn't really tell me much about these characters. It's just a sea of breastplates that still expose their entire collarbone, and it's just, like, goofy looking, you know? Like, you know how easy it would be to just... One thing that new She-Ra really failed at in terms of character design? There's no more redheads. Where are the redheads at, guys? We can have, like, 3 girls with purple hair, but not a single ginger kid? Entrapta, what a glow-up. Original Entrapta is so... bad. I don't know what to say. This design is giving me absolutely nothing about her character. The gold looks awful with these colors. What are you doing, babe? And her hair. Ugh, the fact that every other girl also has super long hair really diminishes her main selling feature. The fact that her hair is really long and does stuff. Sometimes you want to keep the essence of the old design, but sometimes you can use your eyeballs and realize that there is almost nothing in a design that's worth keeping around. Like, true, you can disagree with me, and it's impossible to say one is objectively better. But when it comes to things like this is where color theory really starts to come into play. There is a science behind colors in design. Colors shouldn't just be slapped randomly onto a design. Bright, saturated saturated, warm colors tend to be the dominant thing you see in a design. It'll draw your eye. 80s Entrapta does nothing good with this. The yellow gold is competing with her neon magenta hair. My eyes don't know where to go. So when Entrapta is on screen, it just feels like a busy mess. Character design should lead your eye through the character, not confuse you in the middle of it. With Netflix's Entrapta, her hair is still the most prominent element of her design. However, since the rest of her outfit utilizes colors of similar shades as her hair does throughout it, it makes her feel like a much more cohesive character. But keeping her eyes and the lenses of her mask that bright neon magenta, like her old hair used to have, is a cute way to incorporate the color back into her new look. It also gives her that slightly menacing vibe, which honestly, 80s Entrapta doesn't have at all. If you're worried about changing a character super drastically, like we do here with Entrapta, you just need to understand why you're doing it. Is 80s Entrapta's design bad? Yes, by certain standards, I would say it is. Why is it bad? If we change it, how will we fix it? Can we keep anything with this character into the new design at all? Can we change something, just one little thing, or does we have to change all of it? These are concepts that you have to tackle when designing a new character or redesigning an old character, and unfortunately there's no easy answer. There's no yes or no, there's no good or bad. You just need to be able to look at it and go through a process, because that's what happened with all these girls. Their character designer sat down, looked at their original character, and then started making new ideas. And when you look at these girls, these are not the first designs. Like, they did not just draw Entrapta like this and went, this is how we're gonna do it from now on. They probably went through several different steps, redesigning her over and over and over to see what would look best, both against the heroes, against the villains, against the environment, and in general. Next, this one will probably be my most controversial opinion in this video, but here goes. I don't like Catra's design. Okay, I get it. I think it's an improvement on her original design because damn girl, that skirt is just barely covering you up. Oh my god. Similarly to Shiro herself, Catra's redesign makes it much more viable and protected for combat. So what's my issue? Well, it's just weird. Why, out of everything in her original design, was the only thing that kept around the weird headpiece thing? No one else wears something like this, and it doesn't really match the rest of her design, which is much more form-fitted and acrobatic. Her headpiece looks like a helmet or a crown, and I don't get it. With her original look, it was meant to look like cat's ears with cat eyes, you know, because her name is Catra, but new Catra has those ears and eyes on her actual body, so there's no need to invoke this concept in her headband. I also don't like how her eyes are two different colors. It's not awful, it's mostly just a personal opinion thing. I just don't understand why they didn't just make her eyes green, like how her original headband had. Yellow and blue mixes together to make green too. I get the feeling they just wanted to give her a little bit more color to her outfit since her armor is all really one note. Also, this way it makes it so her eyes shining in the darkness is like more recognizable, I suppose. I don't know. But my biggest thing is like, why is she half cat? In the Netflix version of Shiro, there are animal-looking people, and there's full humanoid-looking people. But Catra is like one of the only few who's half and half. Why isn't she just a full-on cat person walking around? It just makes no sense to me. It feels inconsistent with the rest of the world that we get to see. I mean, I guess Scorpia is the same way, but I don't know. Maybe it's just because cat girls are already a really tired trope in animated shows, and I find the cat girl shtick to be kind of boring by this point. Hey look, it's Scorpia! Look at her, she's so great, I love her.
Kitty! Huh? Just so you know, I'm a hugger.
Best girl, hands down. Don't even try to fight me, you know I'm right. Look at this perfect, beautiful, 10-foot tall cinnamon roll. First of all, the white hair is a huge improvement. It helps break up the monotony of all the villains having really dark hair colors by being such a stark difference to them. However, keeping it white means it still matches their aesthetic. Black and white match each other. People usually only have them portray as like opposites, but no, everything in grayscale, including black and white, can complement each other. Making her claws so much bigger was probably something they debated with a lot, but I think it's a good idea. First of all, it makes her more prone to comedic scenes. Scorpia is definitely the funniest character in the show after all. But more importantly, she can actually be rather threatening with how large her claws are. Scorpia is also now a much better duo with Catra. Similarly to the duality of Vegeta and Nappa, having teams of villains with vastly different sizes can lead to a lot more interesting dynamics between them. Catra's the rogue, sneaking in close and slipping past their defenses. Scorpia is their tank, a shield. She and Catra have different skills that are useful for different scenarios, and that comes across to us perfectly through their designs. So what's the point of this video? Did I just make this to gush about the Shiro designs I like? Yes. But also, this is a really good example on how to study character design. Because, like I've said a few times through this video, character design is not a yes or a no kind of concept. You could disagree with all my thoughts on the designs, and that's fine. Character design, like all forms of visual art, is highly subjective. However, I think Shiro can be used as a tool for exploring elements of the design process that we don't usually get to see. Adora. Which one do you like better? 80s or Netflix? Got your answer? Okay. Why? Why do you like one design more than the other? The two designs have their similarities, but you personally preferred one over the other. Once you start to understand why you like a certain design over other designs, you can learn to incorporate those concepts into your own work. Are you not a fan of how new Adora does the triangular shoulders? Do you not like how old Adora wears her hair the same as Shira's? Do you think Catra looks better with the dark eyes or the bright eyes? Do you like Mermista's old outfit but prefer new Mermista's body shape? Do you like Glimmer's new hair but prefer her old hairstyle? We grow when we understand what it is we want to do. There's a lot to character design, and it can feel overwhelming. There's so many things to keep in mind, like color theory, line placement, patterns, shapes, and so on and so forth. Redesigns are a great way to start to narrow your focus down into something you can wrap your mind around. Take a character you love and redesign them. Change it up, go crazy. Try redesigning your own original characters you've already drawn. Because being able to compare and contrast different styles, like how we can with She-Ra's remakes, makes understanding the nuances of design a lot easier. She-Ra does a lot of different things with their designs. Some characters are nearly exactly the same as their originals, some are totally different, but the important thing with every character is they still hold on to the essence of that character. Nothing is so extreme that it makes the character unrecognizable. At their heart, they're still those old 80s characters, capturing that magic from the original series and giving it a breath of fresh air. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope you had fun with it. Shout out to my $10 patrons, you're all amazing. Nako, Michael, Cool Duck, Andrew, Ramiel, Valhalla Knight, Chamomile, G-Extreme, Classic Critic, Surge, Boulder Off Bros, Noah Perkins, Sunny Shy, Great Par, Caleb Grimm, Pentimenta, Genital War Thunder, Carmen, Order, Vortex, Jake, Sarah's Van, Mookie, and Amber. So yeah, I hope you liked this video. This is the end of Magical Girl May. We did it. I had so much fun with Magical Girl May. Can't wait to do it again next year. Already got so many more things I want to talk about. Let me know what you think about Shiva's redesigns and stuff. And which one do you prefer? Like, which 80s do you like better than the redesigns for the Netflix version? Any and all thoughts and opinions? Tell me in the comments below. I love hearing about you learning about character design and character concepts in general, and I love hearing your thoughts and opinions on it. If you want like some behind the scenes things around my redesigning Daphne to be a black woman, I'm gonna have a behind the scenes thing on my Patreon for that. If you want to hear me rambling about how I came up with that design, any and all thoughts and opinions, leave them in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.